Greetings and welcome back to Q Points Podcast. I am DJ Sir Daniel.
And my name is J. Ray, sometimes known by my governments as Johnny Ray Cornegay III. What's happening, people?
People, welcome back to Q Points Podcast, the podcast that is dropping the needle on Black music history. J. Ray, how are you doing?
I am excellent, man. It's been busy, of course. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely been busy. But you know what? I'm really inspired. I'm excited for what we do here at Q Points. I'm excited for stuff that's going on with the family. I'm feeling really good. How are you doing?
I am excellent as well. I'm very excited to have this discussion on this particular episode. I'm really happy about the work that we've been doing, our social media outreach, and just having a good time making connections with all of you listeners and just growing our listener family, because Q Points Podcast has something for everyone, and this particular episode is no different. But before we delve into all of that, J. Ray, please let the new listeners know what they can do to make sure that they are a full-fledged part of the Q Points Podcast family.
Listen, there are so many things, but before I do that, Sir Daniel,
Yes.
For the Q Points family, I just want to thank you, Sir Daniel, for your brilliance in all the social media engagement. No, real talk. Like it's a gift that you have, and I thank you for being able to do that for us because it makes a difference. And we see that it's already connecting with so many new folks. So thank you, bro.
I appreciate that. It's all for the good of the Q Points Podcast.
Yes. So to Sir Daniel's point, you all are already doing the thing that you really need to be doing if you hear us right now, right? So if you hear this message, that means you are listening or watching the show, and that's great. We absolutely need you to do that. Go one step further and left click on the subscribe button wherever you are so that you can get notified whenever there is a new episode of Q Points. That's really dope. And that's completely free. The other free layer to that you can do, and we always say this, share it with your friends. Like Sir Daniel and I recognize that the way that we need to grow Q Points is through all of y'all. So if you like Q Points and I like what those brothers are doing over there, they're not over there talking no foolishness, share it with your friends and your family and your colleagues that you think might be into Black music and the way that we talk about it here, because they'll listen to you because you're their friend or their family or their colleague, right? So that's dope. The other thing that you can do, go on over to our newsletter. We have magazine.qpoints.com. We are about
so good.
It's so good. It is where we expound on the content in the show. So we will post videos that we kind of talk about, music and stuff that we talk about on the show, so you can hear that. So stay up with our newsletter so that you can know how to get up, so that you can really get in the know and be a Q Points insider. It's so good. So, yeah, those are all the things that y'all can do. Thank y'all for being here.
Like J. Ray said, you got to stay up so you can get down with the Q Points podcast. The music industry, just based on the way it's set up, has been known to divide people who have come into the game as friends, as brothers, as sisters, and could actually cause a division in them. And the music industry itself is proving to be a very nefarious and just really icky. Over the past few weeks, there has been a reckoning within this industry, and a lot of powerful names have been named, accused, Some very explicit and implicit lawsuits have been made public. Things that have been done in the dark are being brought to the light at this point,
Yes.
and it's a reckoning for certain people. Of course, we know all about Sean Puffy Combs is his that name is being dragged through the mud.
Whew.
Something serious right now. He's being separated
Allegedly,
from
there's a lot of allegedly with Sean with Diddy, but allegedly, but yes, all of
allegedly.
this is happening.
He's being separated from a lot of from corporations and asked to step down from this and that, and it's a serious thing.
It
People,
is.
businesses are separating themselves from him because J Ray, let's just be real. The name Sean Puffy Combs has had a cloud covering it from the very beginning, from the get go. Like, even way back to the City College
Yep.
incident, there has been a dark cloud of energy, bad energy, that has followed Diddy around, and it's nothing new. We joke about it. We laugh about how people that get signed to Bad Boy Records just never see any money. They end up broke, or they get murdered, or they die penniless. All types of things. So, that's not a secret, and I think that it's just one of those things that we now, with Cassie Ventura's very direct lawsuit and plain spelling out of incidents that this man has put her through over the decade that they were together, just got us to talking about what is it about this industry that um that gestates this kind of negative energy that encourages and creates people to become predators, especially with people that look like them. There's something about this industry that encourages this, J Ray. And
Yes.
just in us talking, why do you think that this industry is so dang toxic?
Yeah. Um, a couple of things. So the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that there is so much money to be made
Mm-hmm.
in a complicated industry that is difficult to understand for most people
Right.
because of the way the system is constructed. Your goal is to figure out how to make a coin, right? Off of someone else's talent.
Mm-hmm.
But not everybody can figure out the game, right? So I think that's one thing, right? Is the industry, the way the system is set up, is it encourages people in one way or another, because they're motivated by money, to engage in predatory behavior. So that's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I think that makes the industry really toxic is, you're just dealing with, we're talking about artists, right? So we're talking about music. We are talking about the fact that there are going to be folks with a lot of trauma who are brilliant artists, right? We talk about that all the time, where they call it the tortured genius, where it's just
Yes.
like, that's just part of it, right? So you end up chock full of an industry of money, money grubbing folks, tortured geniuses, people who are incredibly talented and don't understand what's going on. And Candy Burris said something recently where she was just like, and also in the music business, there's just like, it's just shady. Like, there's no rules. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I
So
think
that's why.
I think Q-Tip said it best. Industry rule number 4080: record people are shady. To all of your points, you get an industry full of, let's talk about the artists. tortured geniuses, right? Also very insecure
Ooh.
people, a lot of times very insecure, because a lot of the artists come into the game at a very young age. They come in as adolescents when they're not even fully developed adults. Their frontal lobe hasn't even fully developed. So a lot of their executive decisions are flawed because they're not fully formed yet and they're not full-fledged adults. So you got that. And then you got it you compound that with a majority, and we're going to talk specifically about black music and black musicians and artists. A lot of them come from poverty. A lot of them are already vulnerable because they come from backgrounds that don't allow for them to not turn down a janky deal and $500 up front, because that $500 means it's probably the most money they've ever seen in their life, and can mean groceries for the family back home as well. So there's that. And I think I said this on the episode before. The music industry is a glamorized pyramid scheme. It is built on the on the principle of, okay, I'm gonna give you money to go and find two more people to come work under you, and for every person that you bring in, I'm gonna give you a bonus so that you can pay them a little bit of money, and then they do the same thing, and at the same time they're making brilliant music, and but I'm gonna get the lion's share of the money because I'm at the top of the pyramid. And that system, like racism and white supremacy, which they both go hand in hand, quite honestly, is built for people not to succeed, not to become billionaires like the people at the top of the pyramid. So what you have, if you find these young people, and thank you, Meredith. New Edition is a great example. You find five young boys from the projects in Boston, dirt poor, right? Living in the projects, and you hit them off with a little bit of money. They're vulnerable. They're out on the road performing their little hearts out because all they want to do is sing for you and perform for you. And but they're still adolescents. So what do you have to do? What do you got to do? You got to entertain them by giving them food, entertain them with all kinds of foolishness, introduce them to liquor,
Mm-hmm.
because that helps to calm them down when you need them to be calm. And then there's always somebody lingering around with drugs,
Yep.
hard powder, everything you can think of, that will either boost you up so you can go out there and perform your heart out on stage, or and when you come off stage and you can't go to sleep and you can't calm down, they got something that'll bring you down. So then if you're already vulnerable, and if you have the proclivity to become an addict, guess what? You're now a drug addict with access to a little bit of money, which you are not going to hold on to for a while. So that's just part of the system. Is just built that way for specifically black people who give of their soul
Mm.
to this art, not to succeed. And quite frankly, you're worth more money dead to a lot of these corporations than you are alive.
Bruh, you yeah, that's a mic drop. Cause that's absolutely true. Um you said something there that I feel like is really important. Um when we think about the system as it is set up currently,
Mm-hmm.
you you're already in the hole if you decide that you're going to enter the system, you're going to enter the music business in kind of the big the big system, right? You're going to enter into
Right.
these big doors, right? Because there is an opportunity. I know a bunch of independent musicians that live really regular lives. They make livings off of their music, but they're not in the big machine, right? They're in their own machine. That's a whole different
Correct.
experience, right? We're talking about the people over here in the big machine. If you decide to enter the big machine, you already owe them money. Like you can't, like you have to make so much money to recoup all of the money that gets spent, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which we've seen some people like climb out of this. Like I'm looking at Beyonce, I'm looking at Rihanna, I'm looking at these artists, but look how hard, let's just take those women. Look how hard those women had to work to be in control of their own art.
And look how few of them there are.
Baby, say that.
There's not even a handful of artists that can say that have the independence that J Ray is speaking on. And just as you were talking, J Ray, just like predator, we're talking about predatory nature of this. This is predatory lending. A lot of
Oh,
recording
it is
contracts are predatory
oh my,
loans, basically.
that's a quotable. Like record contracts is are like those predatory loans. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
god.
You may as well you may as well be getting your recording contract from a title
Yep.
loan place. You may as well, because you are going to have to you are really going to have to make some money in order to get back, to make back what recoup what it is that they've spent on you. And so, we discussed the money aspect, but and we touched on, the whole Diddy conversation. I just and just veering off of script real quick, I just don't get it. Part of me is like, you know what these kids go through, the dreams that they had. These are people that look like you, that came from the same place you came from. And so I'm just wondering, where along what point do you lose your humanity and not look at them as little brothers, little sisters, from around your way, and not try to look out for them in the larger sense of the word.
Man, Sir Daniel, there are unfortunately just always people who just aren't good people. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? Like they just aren't good people who are going to do right by folks because they are more interested in what they can get. Um I think, to your earlier point, I think racism and white supremacy encourages it. I think, in the sense of American, I think American individualism and exceptionalism encourages it. Capitalism encourages it. And people get real. I don't know what it's like to have $1 million. I don't know what it's like to have $100,000 in my bank account. I don't know what that's like, right? Um, there are folks out there that do, and what is the old saying? Money is the root of all evil.
right. The love of money is the root of
The
all evil.
the love. Oh, thank you so much for that
Because
caveat.
money is fine.
I
Money is
want I
great.
want some of that, but it's the love. There you go, right? Me and Sir Daniel, we calling it in, right? 2024, bring it. But that love of money thing, that love,
Yeah.
the love of the money. So if that's your first thing, if you like the get the bag first, the people second, that's we need to know when to recognize those people,
Mm-hmm.
because it will determine how those people interact with you, and it will determine what they will do to get the money. And if they need to throw you under the bus to get the money, you done.
You're done. And this the system, the music system is a quid pro quo system. And it's like, what are a lot of artists are asked point blank, what are you willing to do to become famous? And I think it's almost like that, for those of you who went to vacation Bible school, those of us that, went to Sunday school, Sabbath school and all that, we all heard about the story of when Jesus and, Satan were chilling, looking over the land, and Satan was like, you know what? If you just, you just Hank, come on my team, get with the winning team, all of this can be yours. And it was just tempting Jesus with the run of the land, and like, and telling him, all, I can get you riches, I can, you can do this, you can be in charge of this part of the world. and have the control over this whole world, blah blah blah. And all of us have those moments. Is and a lot of artists had that moment where the person in charge, or the person, the dream fulfiller, comes to them and says, what are you willing to give up? What do you want to do? What are you willing to give of yourself, of your soul, in order to get to those riches, in order to get to fame? And let's not even discuss the fame drug,
Fame.
because fame is a
Oh,
drug in and of itself.
what
But
the fame monster is what
the
what's her name?
Gaga,
Lady Gaga
Gaga.
said.
Mm-hmm. So it's like, what are you willing to give? And quite frankly, a lot of young people, again, who aren't able to make better executive decisions, say, you know what, I'm willing to do anything. And again, it's just like J Ray. It's just like working with people that are sex trafficked.
Mhm,
You get they're vulnerable as hell.
mhm.
They don't know where the next meal is coming from. They're disenfranchised from their family. So many things already make them susceptible. And here you come, flashing the green and the luxury and whatnot. And they're like, I'm willing to do anything. And that includes, yes, I'm willing to rehearse and sing and write and do all of that stuff, but I'm willing to possibly give my body away. And that's a real thing, that a dirty secret that people, I think, are now becoming more comfortable discussing with regards to this industry of music.
I want to thank you for illuminating that, because I think one of the things that we've talked about offline, and I think it's important to say here, is
Yeah,
that Q Points is a place that, one, supports Black women, believes Black women, and just in the greater scheme of things, is interested in lifting up the voices of folks who have been harmed, folks who are survivors, etc. What Cassie did was really difficult. What Drew Dixon did was really difficult. What all of them sisters that got R. Kelly
whew,
behind bars did was really difficult, because these are folks, these are men that have power, resources, money, and more importantly, people that will blindly follow them.
I think that's the scariest part.
That's the that is the scariest part, where when we take a step back and we hear and we I wasn't going to read the 35 pages of Cassie, because what I heard was like, you know what? I'm good on that. I don't want that in my spirit, right? But
Mm-hmm.
when we think about all of that goes into all of everything that goes into needing to reveal all of that, we're learning a lot about in this moment about how people
Mm-hmm.
have operated. And I think there's going to be more.
There's absolutely going to be more. And what a lot of people have said, oh no, I take that back. I said this, full transparency, when the Cassie news dropped. I was basically like, this is not surprising. This particular gentleman, his name has been, there have been rumors following him. I mean, they linger on him more than Sean John Cologne. They have been
Yes.
following him for decades. These rumors, these myths of sex parties, all of that stuff, and somebody just basically co-sign and say, yeah, those things are true. They happened to me. But I said all that to say that I was surprised that it wasn't a young man, because those have been rumors too. And it got me to thinking about, I just recently saw the Milli Vanilli documentary. Um, is that HBO? Is that
Paramount
Max?
Plus.
Paramount Plus, yes. And I tweeted about it after I watched it. J Ray, it was, because that's like going in the time machine for
It
us.
is.
because that was we were kids when that
Yes.
stuff was happening, and it was a great time. It was nostalgic. I laughed. I danced around a little bit because listen, the music was kind of fire. The music was
Mhm.
still fire, and I went from joy to cringing to straight full on rage by the time I got to the end of that documentary, because Rob and Fab were straight up victims of a very dangerous and nefarious system. That man, what is his name again?
Frank
Jerry
Farian.
Frank Farian sought them out. Well, he would have sought if it would have been two other people, two other men, young boys. He would have gotten them because historically he did the same thing with another
Boney
black
M.
artist, Boney M, and he historically would use their black bodies
Yep.
to present his music, to present his voice to the world, but use your black body to present it and use you up and put you on the front line as the face of his music and basically set you up to be the fall guy, which is what happened to Rob and Fab of Milli Vanilli. They were set up from the very beginning, and when the shit hit the fan, J Ray, he backed away. Had nothing to do with it, didn't want anything to do with them, forced them to go ahead and make a statement. And when the question started being directed at him, oh, well, I told them not to perform on the Grammy. You paid for them to perform on the Grammys. And it just incensed me because, again, white supremacy, the chattel and use of black bodies and capitalizing on black bodies for their greater good, because who got all the money?
Baby, Frank was
Who got paid?
paid. Frank
Who
and
got
Ingrid,
paid?
and Ingrid sitting, okay. Ingrid made me mad. I was like,
She was the worst.
what you're not going to do, Ingrid, is how much you loved Rob. Oh, I loved him. I loved him. I loved him. Really, girl? What you needed to be sitting up in that chair and doing is apologizing for your role in that foolishness. So, Ingrid, if you see this, we not feeling you. We not feeling you. We You should have been apologizing to those men for what y'all did to them.
Save those crocodile tears, Ingrid. I think the the nastiest work that Farron did was showing up to the funeral and hopping in front of the cameras to look so stoic and so depressed and so unhappy. Oh, you were loved, Rob. You were loved, Rob. I'm like,
Mm.
get the out of here with that. Just just so unfeeling, just so unhuman, and nasty. Just a lot of nasty work when it comes to what happened to those two young men.
Yeah, you brought up a really important point, and this is one of the things about the entertainment industry. Thank you, Meredith, for saying that, because this is really truly the entertainment industry as a whole, right? Not
As
just
a
the
whole,
music
yeah.
industry. But we end up doing the same thing that white man did to Robin Fab to our own people. You've already said this, and I think it's really important to underscore that Frank Farian had already done it with Boney M.
Mm-hmm.
Cast them out, right? Um, Bobby Farrell was broke and had fronted that band for years. Fronted the band, right? Because it was really,
The
of course, Frank
musicians.
Farian's voice.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then, okay, then he comes back and he does it again with Milli Vanilli, much bigger scale. And somebody made the great point of, oh, no. The Milli Vanilli train would have continued had that man not put them, who ain't know nothing, had he put them in for the Grammy thing. And
Mm-hmm.
that white man was so like, Why don't y'all want these people to win a Grammy? Baby, you don't know
It's a
that they
great
not singing? You
song.
know, it's a great song. Blame it on the rain. Woo.
He
Why don't
was,
you?
he was an infant in the industry. He was like, this is a great song. I think we should do this. And little did
Baby,
he know
little did he know. But
what he was doing. But go ahead.
right, and where I wanted to get to, which was really because I didn't remember this because I had checked out of the Milli Vanilli train after Robin Fab. I didn't know that Frank Farian like dropped a real Milli Vanilli album like right after that and did the same thing.
With
Just like with
two new
two
people.
new people.
Yep.
He had the people who sang, and then these two new people out front who ain't had nothing to do. They ain't say nothing. They just in the group.
Lip syncing. Again, all he cared about was that, they're
Black.
black,
They're
they
black.
look good,
Yep.
and they can really move, which
they,
is
they
which
can
is
really move.
which is just debasing us to to natural physical attributes, which has been happening since we got onto the ships and across the transatlantic, because of physical attributes, always just being reduced to just physical prowess, physical attributes, physical gifts.
Mhm.
We continue to be used for our gifts in this country.
This is They Reminisce Over You. I'm Miguel.
And I'm Christina.
They Reminisce Over You is a podcast that celebrates and honors the best in music, movies, and TV from the past.
We get into the careers and legacies of some of the biggest names in hip-hop, R&B, and pop culture. From discussing the groundbreaking music of Missy Elliott and Mary J. Blige,
to exploring iconic moments in TV and film like the chaos at the 95 Source Awards. They Reminisce Over You has something for everyone.
so join us as we reminisce over the artists, movies, and TV shows that have shaped our lives and continue to influence popular culture today.
Sometimes I play records, I spin records, and I think about the voices behind some of these records, and I'm just like, God, what kind of sacrifice did you do for us, give for us to play these records, to dance to them, to play them at our barbecues, to play them at graduations. That's why I hold certain artists and music to such high regard, because it's covered in blood. It
Yeah.
was made with blood, and I can't disrespect. That's why I get so disgusted when other black young people disregard and throw away artists from a different era just because they're from a different era and they feel that they're irrelevant, when in fact the road that you're walking on has been paved with their blood.
Mm.
You know? So so yeah, it lends, that Robin Fab moment really lent to this discussion, and earlier we were just talking about the whole sex and sex aspect of exploitative, the sexually exploitative nature of
Mhm.
the industry. We've seen it. It's not just in pop music, it's not just R&B, it's happened in hip hop. you
Mhm.
know I remember when the Roxanne movie came out.
Mhm.
She had a record on the air, on the radio, but was still homeless, and was told that, hey, if you need to stay here, you got to pay to play.
Mm.
So imagine you're 15 years old, you're trying to, you're out here trying to make it in this business, but you don't have any place to stay because you got put out from the house, and you're dealing with that. You're dealing with pay to play. You're dealing with having to have survival sex in order to just live, just to have your basic needs met. And then you have it on that level, and then you get to another level, like a Cassie and a Diddy situation, where it's like, okay, I'm going to sign you to a 10 record deal.
10
Record
records.
deal. But I don't know, this was definitely really a personal thing.
Oh
The
yeah.
things that he's alleged to have done to her was really stuff that was done on a personal level, also making sure that she couldn't prosper in any other
Nope.
forms of entertainment, making sure that he kept a thumb on her for the rest of her life.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I think the thing that is really important is what you're saying, because here's the thing we need to remember about this Cassie situation. Her career died after she started. Like, he literally killed that woman's music career.
Yeah.
But she was signed to a 10 album deal. So even if they stopped dating, she would have still had to deliver y'all 9, I think, and ended up, because I think it was like a second one somewhere. So eight other albums. If you do an album every 2 years, that's 16 years.
and knowing that, all the while knowing that her presence in the industry as each year goes by is being eclipsed by newer and younger artists coming out every single year. You've got these titans of the industry that are rising up to their superpowers. So where does a Cassie fit? Where does a Danity Kane fit? In this whole landscape of music. And when you, the person that could actually benefit from their prosperity, is keeping them down, basically, because for whatever reasons we don't know, but like separating them from other producers and people that can help them and curate their sound. Because quite honestly, we fell in love with the Cassie sound because of her relationship with Ryan Leslie, whose
Right.
laptop mysteriously disappeared, by the way, guys.
Baby, we
It
ain't
was
never
just
we
no
ain't never found Ryan Leslie's music.
music on that laptop. But just to, there's just so many instances. Again, you spoke of Drew Dixon at the top, and how her documentary really was the lead domino in this effect of women in the music industry, specifically Black music industry, speaking up about the atrocities that they were facing at the hands of the men, the brothers who are supposed to be looking out for them in this industry, and in fact using their power. And let's talk about that, J. Ray, using their perceived power to control them, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And we see that happen outside of the music industry, right? We see, you know, people in this society, let's take Black men, for instance, try to exert some power in this white supremacist structure. And what do you do when you're trying to build power, to execute power? You pick on somebody that you feel is less than you. So you pick on women because they're the closest to you, right? You pick on the people that have the most proximity to you. So you pick on your wife, your girlfriend, your sister. You pick on them and you do whatever to them and talk about them. You pick on the gay people, because they're also in close proximity to you in the community, specifically in the Black community. So you pick on them and you assert your dominance in the way that you feel puts you ahead, puts you closest to power, the white supremacy power structure that has been built within this country. So I think that's what translates into the industry. Then, of course, you got some of them that are just naturally dickheads, that are, creeps, naturally have those kind of inclinations already. And so you mix that with money, some power, some powder, and you got a wicked storm happening to a lot of women in the music industry.
Sir Daniel, I think that's the archetype. Like, I think, and I've noted, I'm gonna use an I statement. I've noticed this years ago. Just watching how people move, there is an archetype, and I think all of those things that you described, all of those things you described, I actually truly believe that many of these folks are just like not good folks. Like, just because to do some of the things, to do any of the things that when we're talking about these men specifically, I don't know what kind of human being does things that they're accused of. I just don't know. So I think it's just um some of these folks that just not good folks. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
they're in an industry that doesn't have some of the same checks and balances. There's a
No.
lot more ability to make a lot more money, and that money gets you to a certain level of power, because you ain't
Hmm.
getting to the top of the pyramid, right?
But you are
Um,
rewarded.
but
You're
you are
rewarded.
rewarded. You are rewarded though, so enough that you are able to excel. So yeah, I think what we are also learning is just that some of these folks, it's like, yo, I don't know what kind of human being you have to be to do what some of the stuff you're accused of doing is. That's crazy.
It's crazy. It's ridiculous. But I think, yeah, yeah, to your point, we can see the handful of people that didn't make it or
Mm.
don't make it because they're. We had that nice guy discussion, right?
Mm-hmm.
For lack of a better example, let's use Ruben Studdard.
Yep.
Ruben Studdard was supposed to be America's next idol,
Mm-hmm.
American Idol, and he came and he went. You know, wonderful singer, was supposed to be set up to be the next Luther Vandross and all that other stuff, but he did not possess a certain swagger, and maybe even a certain nastiness to him, like an Aaron Hall, whose name has been coming up a lot
Oh
recently as
my
well.
God. I
He didn't
know.
he didn't possess that kind of stereotype that America loves of a black man that relies solely on his power, which is primarily derived from his sexuality and his
Mhm.
prowess and his ability to dominate in those types of things. So it's just really it's really kind of sad that maybe you can't succeed in the industry unless you're a little bit of you have a little smidgen of asshole in you. You got to be. We tend to cheerlead the asshole. We tend to like those kind of people. They might be, we're always like, yeah, that's a wild boy. He wild, but I rock with him. I fuck with him. I like that music, but he a wild boy. But that's kind of because you kind of wish you're living vicariously through him, is what it is.
You know what? That you are absolutely right. That's another mic drop moment because that's true. And I think that, uh, yeah, folks idolize and admire. We got to rework this. We got to change the way that we got to change the way that we hold people up because they achieve a certain level of success and money in this white power structure. Because
Mhm.
I'm telling y'all, something in that milk don't be clean all the time. You know what I'm
It's
saying?
not.
And I'm
Oh,
not saying that you wanting to get your bag is not okay. I'm not saying that. Get your bag because I'm gonna get mine. DJ Sardan, you're gonna get his bag too. But what I am also saying is that we can see that within the system, there's a certain person that gets let in the door, right?
yeah.
And with the way them folks move, there's an expectation for how you move too. And we have to, for black folks, we have to rewrite what all of that means for us. And to some of the into all of these cases actually that we're talking about, there's so much harm that has been done. This is like a lot of harm. And I'm not one of those mass incarceration, like throw everybody in jail sorts of dudes. But I
No.
also will admit I don't know what the restorative justice for the harm that some of these folks have experienced. I don't know what the answer is, but what I know is it's bad. It's bad,
Yeah.
and it needs to be. We have to, as a community, reckon with the fact that um, these folks have been allowed to, in most cases, kind of prosper and get to this level of like power and influence. Because I think it's a problem.
It's a big problem. And I think, before you all get started, Diddy was not about to buy NBC. That's
But
not
he
a
was about to buy BET. Remember that was a thing.
wait.
So it was
No,
like
that was
Diddy.
Tyler Perry.
It was Tyler
Oh,
Perry. It was Diddy, and it was. I feel like Byron Allen was in there too. I feel like it was
definitely
three
Byron
brothers.
Allen. Right. But the difference is, so here's what we can do, I believe, is we can lift the names of those, or at least lift the sisters up, and the brothers that have been victimized, because far too many people have been victimized in this industry, and they become punchlines.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking about, like, to this day, Patti LaBelle is a survivor. She's a true
Yes.
survivor of this industry, and look how beloved she is.
Yep.
But she has been very clear that she was a victim of sexual assault very early
Yep.
in her quest to stardom, by another musician.
Yep.
It happens quite a bit. Again, Drew Dixon in her documentary, Sherry Cher from the Mercedes Ladies, very early in the hip hop game, on the verge of becoming probably the first female hip hop group to get signed to a major record label, but that was derailed because of a sexual assault incident that's documented in the documentary as well. There's countless women that have gone through that, have had some type of assault, and countless brothers too, who probably just don't want to be named at this point.
That's a really important point too, because I do think we need to, as a community, make space for Black men and boys to
Yes.
to be able to talk about the um the abuse that they experience and not judge them for it, because there are probably countless men and boys that we have not heard from because they're
Hmm.
afraid for whatever reason.
It,
um
it's so funny you said that. I'm sorry, I just had to say this.
mhm.
On that To that same point, 50 Cent has been, in his own way, making this a punchline and bringing up his encounters with Diddy, about Diddy wanting to take him shopping, and using that as a punchline now, as saying that, in his own way, kind of saying, "Oh, that shit would have never happened with me because I'm a real man, and that would have never gone down with me because I'm a real man." But what he's saying, and I don't even think he realizes it, when he says things like that and he makes light of the situation, and jokes about, "Oh, you need to go and take somebody else shopping. That's not going to happen to me." And it's kind of making whoever that young man is that's in the studio right now and being manipulated in whatever way, not feel comfortable to speak up, to J Ray's exact point. And because people isn't making space for our young men, for our boys, to speak up if they're being mistreated and mishandled, especially in the entertainment industry.
Sir Daniel, I think, and this is hard, y'all, because there's going to be a whole lot of people that we love and would be like probably sitting here thinking like, no.
Yeah.
um I think the domino it's already way down the way, and we have a lot more illuminating that will happen over the next few years. Mark, I think, said way back in the beginning in the chat that the whole decade is going to be trash. I think we're going to be
It's
like,
gonna it's gonna be pretty awful. But, to like J Ray was saying, I think this is also an opportunity for all of us to be aware. You know,
yes,
grooming is a real thing.
yes,
If you don't know what grooming is somebody in power targeting, pinpointing somebody who is vulnerable that could easily be manipulated to do whatever they want, easily manipulated through the means of financial insecurity, food insecurity, homelessness, whatever it takes, or not even those bad things. Maybe just somebody who wants to be in the in crowd, who wants to be accepted. There's a lot of grooming that takes place. So I think as a community, we have to be aware of what grooming looks like, and the ways that it could be perpetrated right in under our noses, and also wanting to make sure that we show love to all our kids and give them and make sure that not only are we providing for them, food, clothing, and shelter, but also making them feel like they're enough for who they are and that their bodies don't have to be placed on the auction block. And it's so hard because we love what we do as musicians and artists that we want to keep that part of it going, but we really have to extract that nasty little bug, that nasty little infestation that has been plaguing us for decades, for centuries now in this industry of music and entertainment on the whole. So, I think this has been a really good episode, J. Ray, and I think this is something that hopefully will spark conversation. Magazines, television shows, holla at us. You want some of this Q Points juice to be on your show. All you got to do is holla at the folks at qpoints.com and we will be there. And J. Ray, how else can they make sure they stay in contact with us?
Listen, thank y'all so much. Yes.
Somebody brought up gospel music. You know what? Gospel music is a whole nother animal, and it's probably it's probably not just as bad, but maybe even worse. And I did say worse.
My goodness. We would get dragged. Oh, they would be dragging us. Oh my God. Okay, but we're not going. Okay, yes to that. But okay, staying up with Q Points. So gospel came up in the chat. For those of you that are listening, you might be like, "What happened?" Gospel came up in the chat, y'all, and lots to discuss there. But
lots of nasty work in there too.
Lots of nasty work. But so y'all are doing the right thing. Y'all are here with us. Y'all are watching us. Y'all are hanging out. That's great. Thank you for doing that. That's the most important thing. It's free. Subscribe.
So thank you for hanging with us. It's a very serious subject, but that's what we do here. We talk about the fun stuff, but we also talk about the difficult things. But what do I also always say, J. Ray? In this life, you have a choice. You can either pick up the needle or you can let the record play. I am DJ Sir Daniel.
I'm J. Ray, y'all.
And this has been Q Points Podcast, dropping the needle on Black music history. We will see you on the next go round. Peace.
Peace on the next go round.